is the course Introduction to Introductory Epistemology. This is my first video, which is about the intensive courses, and pretty much Introductory Epistemology is going to be doing a couple of different things. First, going to be going through some of the history of philosophy and talking about some of the historical figures within philosophy who do have a certain strong epistemological standpoint. The next one will be kind of jumping off from basically after we kind of leave off from certain 19th century figures, then we'll kind of go into the 20th century thing and talk about certain actual positions which exist in a more detailed form today than they did in, say, Descartes' time. And Descartes, well, I guess first, you know, this is sort of a introduction to the course and sort of talking about what we're going to be going over and doing. It's going to be sort of a long course, not as long as the next one, which is going to be advanced epistemology. But this course is for you if you don't know entirely about the history of philosophy that pertains to epistemology itself. It's for you if you don't know what epistemology is. It's for you if you don't know how certain figures in the history of philosophy pertain to epistemology itself. So I guess one question would be, what is epistemology? It is a branch of philosophy, one huge branch of philosophy, which is it's very, very important and very central to philosophy, to philosophy itself. And its business is that of knowledge, talking about what it is to know something and what it is to be justified in something. It's about justification, knowledge, and truth, mainly. Those are the three main things which a thinker who is doing epistemology is trying to figure out what it means for one to be justified in believing something and what it means to know something. And when we're doing epistemology, what we're primarily doing is dealing with beliefs. And what is a belief, you might ask? In philosophy, you think of a proposition or a statement as being a collection of words, strained together to designate something or to say something, and that can be a problem in itself as to what a statement or as to what a proposition is even. So those are problems in themselves. But a belief, and we'll go over in this intro course and the advanced course as to what it means to believe something, because there are many very different takes on it. But I guess the main way to look at what it means to believe something is to hold it to be true, is to take it within your system of the things that you believe. If one is experiencing some evidence of there being a God, then he might bring into his system of beliefs of there being a God. He might have the belief that there is a omnipotent, omnipresent, omnibenevolent, and all those characteristics of God, and he might take that into his belief system. But a belief is something that you hold to be true. I hold to be true that I need air to survive, and when we're doing epistemology, we are trying to understand if we can rationally or reasonably believe something. Is it responsible for us to believe something or not? And how can we know that we're justified in believing something? How can we know that we have knowledge? And these are a lot of questions that we'll be kind of going over, and sort of kind of setting the stage for you to, I guess, read articles that are more advanced in this branch of philosophy. And so it's kind of interesting, and it's going to be sort of a intro thing, and I have a lot of videos on this channel where I do get into more advanced articles and writings of the epistemologists of the 20th and 21st century, and I go over a lot of positivism on this channel a lot. But this is going to be more of an intro thing, and we will go over logical positivism in a more brief way. So I guess to explain epistemology without going overboard and talking about things that are more complex, to talk about epistemology is to discuss the business of what it means to know or be justified in something, and what it means to be justified in something means that you are able to rationally and reasonably and logically believe it. Most people would say that you are not justified in believing that there are pink unicorns that exist out with the rhinos or whatever. Most people would say, in most circles, that is a unjustified belief because there's no evidence, there's no reason for you to believe that. So that's kind of an intro to this whole thing, to this whole course. And the first part, we're going to be going over figures in the history of philosophy who do put forth certain strong epistemological positions, and then we'll be going more into the 20th century sort of thing, and talk somewhat about logical positivism, and then discuss the main positions which exist from then until now. So we're going to start talking about Plato, of course. We're going to at least talk about two things. One thing is going to be the allegory of the cave, which is in book 6 or 7 of the Republic. Definitely, we're going to do that, and we're also going to do Plato's Meno. Neither of them in that much detail, but just enough to discuss how this relates to epistemology itself. So we're gonna do those things and kind of discuss Plato's heavens and how we can have knowledge of those things. We'll also talk about we'll kind of jump from Plato to Descartes in his meditations on first philosophy. And we'll talk about the empiricists, Berkeley, Hume, and Locke. And then we'll talk about Kant, of course, and we'll talk about Schopenhauer, and I think there are a lot of 19th century people who are basically have strong epistemic positions, but I'm going to pick one in that post-Kant 19th century period. I'm going to pick Schopenhauer, and then after that we'll start doing a little more articles. We're going to do a couple articles by Russell and G.E. Moore. G.E. Moore's Introduction of Sense Data, and Moore's Proof of the External World, and Russell's Knowledge by Acquaintance and Knowledge by Description, and also Russell's Problem of Our Knowledge of the External World, and focusing specifically on the hard and soft data thing. And we'll do Ayer's Verifiability Theory of Meaning, and also Ayer's the Right to Be Sure. Talk about Price and the Given. We'll probably do Chisholm's Roger Chisholm. We'll talk about logical positivism, but probably not going into depth on those articles because they're a little more complex, and this is not meant to be a complex epistemology course. And we'll probably do a few other articles in that period. I'm not entirely sure what yet. I'll kind of figure out more exactly what when I get there. But then once I've kind of done all the few articles in that period I want to do, which are the ones that are a lot more simple, then I'll kind of do like segments on each of the positions which still reign, prominent today. the main ones: foundationalism, coherentism, infinitentism, and then externalism and internalism. And we'll do like a good segment on each of those, kind of going over those, and then that will that will end the course, and then I'll move on to the advanced epistemology course. So the next video in this course will be about Plato, about Plato's Republic, and then the next one will be on Plato's Meno, and then we'll go from there. So if you want to get in on this, and if you need a good intro to epistemology, then this is the place to be. This is the channel that you should subscribe to. I do a lot of other videos which are not courses, but if you want to get newer videos in this course, subscribe here, and then you will get them in your sub box. So stick around if you want to learn about this, or if you don't have an adequate background in this kind of stuff, and you want somewhat of a briefing on it, then stay here and subscribe, and thanks.